All right, Algebra 2, last lesson. We're doing this on the quadratic formula, all right? So here's the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And I can't help it. I have to sing the song for you. Here it is. Negative b plus or minus the square root plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac b squared minus 4ac all over 2a all over 2a. One more time, just so it gets stuck in your head. Negative, sing with me, here we go. Negative b plus or minus the square root plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac b squared minus 4ac all over 2a all over 2a. All right, there's a quadratic formula song. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, so the way this works is we're gonna deal with this quadratic and we're gonna solve it by using this formula. So a couple of things. All right, we want the quadratic to be in standard form. So it's something x squared plus something x plus or minus something equals 0. Okay, so we want everything on this side, we want a 0 over here. Okay, we want the first term to be positive and we want it in descending powers of x. All right, so this is how we want it set up. All right, so the way this works is once you have it set up properly like this, then the coefficient of the first term is your a term, and that's where it's going to go here. The coefficient of the middle term is your b term, and then your constant, in this case negative 12, is going to be your c term. Okay, so we can go ahead and plug this in. All right, so negative b, all right, so that's negative 6 plus or minus the square root of, again, 6 squared minus 4 times, okay, that's 3 times negative 12. All over 2 times 3. Okay, so we just plugged in the 3, went in where the a, and where the a. Okay, we plugged in for b up here, we plugged in 6. So it's negative b, so it's negative 6 plus or minus 6 squared minus 4 times coefficient of a times c all over 2 times a. All right, so we're going to go ahead and simplify. So it's 36 minus, okay, now watch how we do this. So this is negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Okay, get that? So this negative right here goes with this 4, so that's negative 4 times 3 gives us negative 12. Negative 12 times negative 12 gives us positive 144. Okay, so 144 and 36 gives us 180. Okay, so we've got negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 180. All right. All over 6. Okay. All right. So remember x equals this. Okay. All right. right, so check it out. Now, 180. 180. Is 180 a perfect square? I don't think so. I don't think so. Don't believe it is. 12 times 12 is 144. 13 times 13 is going to give us 169. Yeah, and then 14 times 14. No, so 180 is not a perfect square. Okay, but we can go ahead and we can simplify that. We can simplify that radical there. So how do you simplify that radical? How do you simplify that radical? All right, so we can find factors of that radical, of the radicand, that have perfect squares. Okay, so this is going to be another one of those. I'll tell you what, Ignish is just so strange. They're giving you all these that end up with weird square root answers. Okay, I'm gonna stop this example and see if we can find a better example that actually ends up with a prettier answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's work on this. This is actually one of the problems. Let's see if this comes out a little more evenly here. All right, so we want to rewrite this first of all. So negative 3x squared minus 10x plus 5 equals 0. So we want it in the right form. Now we want this leading coefficient to be positive, so we're going to multiply everything by negative 1. So it's going to give us 3x squared plus 10x minus 5 equals 0. All right, now that's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so here's our A and B and C. All right, let's see if this one turns out any better here. Okay, so let's just plug in. All right, so that's going to be negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 10 squared minus, it's actually 4ac, minus 4 times 3 times negative 5 all over 2 times 3. All right, so now let's go ahead and simplify under the radical there. So in that radical, that's going to be 100. Okay, that's negative 12. So negative 12 times negative 5 gives us positive, let's look at it again, negative 12 times positive 5. Sorry, negative 5. Negative 12 times negative 5 gives you positive 60. Okay, over 6. Now you end up with negative 10 plus or minus that. Okay, so we end up with negative 10 plus or minus, all right, the square root of 160. Okay, again, they're giving you one that's not a perfect square, which is annoying. Over 6. Okay, I'm going to look and see real quick in this, because this is number, this is towards the end here. I'm going to see if any of these actually end up as a just a nice, pretty number for you. Okay, that one doesn't. This one doesn't. This one doesn't. Okay. Okay, well, so we end up, unfortunately, none of these are going to end up as just nice round figures. So a lot of times you'll actually end up with a perfect square right here. Okay, like for example, -10 plus or minus the square root of 144, and this just reduces down to 12, and then you end up with a nice. But Ignatia's not going to do that. They're going to make it really weird and awkward. Okay, so the way we can deal with this though is we can actually break up. So we can take this -10 plus or minus. We can take that and think of how you can break up the square root of 160 into two radicals multiplied by each other, in which one radical is a perfect square. How about the square root of 16 times the square root of 10? Okay, so square root of 16 is 4. Okay, so I'm going to let me rewrite all this. That's -10 plus or minus, all right, and that's square root of 16 times the square root of 10 all over 6. Okay, all right, so check this out. Well, the reason we did that is because we wanted to break it down into a factor of 160 that had a perfect square. So that's this right here. Okay, so this is going to end up being -10 plus. So we have the plus or minus here. So the first part of the answer is going to be the plus portion of it. So plus. Okay, that's going to be 4 times the square root of 10. So where we get that 4 from? Square root of 16 is 4 over 6. Okay, and what we can actually do here is, now I would be fine leaving it like this, but, and this kind of goes against my grain a little bit, but apparently it looks like what we can do is this 6 can be canceled with both the 4 and with the -10. Okay, so these can both be divided by 2, right? So that would give us, in our final answer, the 6 ends up becoming 3. This ends up becoming, if we divide both, actually if we divide both of these by -2, this would give us a -3 in the bottom and a +5 in the top, plus, and then, okay, we end up dividing again. These can cancel out here. That gives us 2 times the square root of 10 there. Okay, and it looks like in the final answer, the way they're going to have you finish that out is just plus or minus. And again, I'm sorry, this is just so strange the way that I've never seen an entire math lesson where they're having you work out the quadratic formula, where it doesn't end up being like, you're going to usually end up with two values. So this is just a little bit strange, but that ends up being our final answer. I'm only going to assign a few of these to you. This is the last lesson of the year, and so yeah, it's been a great year. Hopefully it's been enjoyable for you, and I don't know who your math teacher will be next year, but I'm sure they'll be awesome, way better than me, I'm sure. Okay, so you guys have a great rest of your day, all right?